where I come from, I joke about this. They say, how are you? How did you sleep? How are your cows? How are your goats? So the first 10 minutes, it's all about the other person. And today we're here to celebrate GPS. GPS means a lot to a lot of people here. But there are people who've been invited, but there are people who GPS means something to. So you're probably thinking, what's this GPS? What is this all about? I'm going to tell you just a little bit about how GPS was born. But before I do that, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Sarah. Sarah with an E, because I'm different. And I decided to spell my name differently. Why not? Okay? Different is good. Just in case anybody's ever told you that you need to fit in, be different, because we're all very unique. And part of my job is to make you feel comfortable. So feel at home. This is your space. Be yourself. Be your very best self, because everyone else is taken. So you can only be yourself. GPS is very special to me, because I knew GPS before GPS was GPS. And I'm going to share with you just a little bit about who I am. You know that place where I say that I come from, where that is? A long time ago, about 20 years ago, I was in Africa, a country called Kenya. And I was just an ordinary girl, but a kind of extraordinary kind of girl, because I'm very daring. And looking back at my life, even from the age of 4, I was always very determined and very daring. And 20 years ago, I dared to believe what most people would say, are you crazy? I dared to believe that God still speaks. And when he says something, he actually does mean it. And if you're here, you probably don't believe in God, you're saying, oh, here we go again, right? You got to hear this. I had no money. The only thing I had actually was faith. And I had been very, 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 very ill, basically. Like dying, like, well, almost dead. Because my doctor said I had 1 week to live. And as I laid in that bed, I couldn't tell, I was dying for real. I couldn't tell the difference between this morning and yesterday. Suddenly, time had lost its meaning. I was sleeping away from time into a place where it didn't exist. And while I was in that state, I remembered something that I believed that God had told me, that I was going to go to England. And I said, okay, God, I don't have a child, I don't have any dependencies. Actually, I don't have a problem dying. But I have one very slight problem. You told me I was going to go to England. How can I die before going to England? That was the only thing. That was the only reason I had to leave. And I said, well, the word tells me that every man be a liar, but God be true. So if I die, that would make you a liar. And that would be impossible. So I'm having this conversation in a state that the doctor believes is I've gone delirious and basically I am dying. So I'm having this supernatural conversation in my head. I got up and I went to the bathroom. I looked at myself. I was skin and bone. I couldn't walk. And I thought to myself, well, I suppose if God is true, he is true. If I'm going to die, whether I stay here or I go home, I'm going to die. It makes no difference. So I said, I'm going home. The doctor said, definitely she's dying. So called my family, I called the doctor, yeah, I'm going home. It's called my family, said, well, you need to start preparing. My brother had already said to my family to start the grave thing. And I said to my family, I'm going home. So I couldn't walk, wheelchair taken home. Why am I telling you this story? Because there's probably something that you have, a voice you had in your head tell you something that almost sounds impossible. And you're stuck with the question, how is it possible? It's the how question that is stopping you. What you had was right and it was correct. But you keep asking yourself, how? You look at the fact that here you are, I'm dying. I have no money, I have nothing. I walked out of that hospital. Well, I didn't, on a wheelchair. My cousin wheeled me out. In less than 18 months, I suddenly, on the same thing, I said, okay, I'm ready to go to England now. And I started the process not knowing. And the day I was at the airport, I had $100 with me. I had a one-way ticket, and I had no visa. But I had faith that if truly God said that I was going to go, then I wouldn't have to worry about those things. He'll take care of everything. Crazy, right? Crazy. I got on the plane, and I got to Amsterdam, stopover, KLM, and the immigration officer stopped me because I didn't have a visa. Because UK, or the other countries respect it, that they have to make sure they check the visas before they get you on a plane here. So because the way immigration works is you're always sent back to the country of entry. So you're never, in most cases, sent back where you came from, you're sent back to the country of entry. Where you came from, basically. So she looked at me, she said, you don't have a visa. And I looked her in the face, I said, I don't need a visa. Probably a little bit of attitude. And I'd never left the country. And she said, no, you know. I said, I don't need a visa. She opened my passport, had a look again, looked at me, and handed me back my passport. Short story, cut the long story short, I landed at Heathrow, had a conversation with the immigration officer. We were talking about stuff, and ignorant me says, oh, can you give me a year visa? She says, no, we can only give you a 6-month visitor visa, and that's all. I'll give you papers where to go find out. So we carried on with this conversation. She never asked me about the money. She never asked me about anything else. So she said, oh, the letter says you're meant to be going somewhere. I said, yeah, I'll be going to Albania. She says, Albania, they need help. Stamped my passport, gave it to me, and I walked through. And I'm still here. 20 years. So I didn't have the how, and you don't need the how. And interestingly, GPS was born a little bit like that. That's how I do life. I don't need to have a how, and you don't need to have a how. You just need to believe that it is possible. I started from nothing. I did voluntary work for 2 years. And then I was like, I need to start working. I couldn't even get a cleaning job because nobody recognizes qualifications from Africa. And you know those conversations I have with God? I had another one of those. And I was like, how? I have served you faithfully. I'm better than this. And I ended up going on a course and got a job, a junior admin job. And I carried on having those faith conversations, which we can all have. It's complete open access. And I built my career from zero to a global head of department. My thing was I need to get to the boardroom, I need to get to the boardroom. So I got to the boardroom and then I was like, okay, I'm here now, what do I do next? And it was at that time, when I was asking what's next, that I had a man called Bishop Dale Bronner was in London. I had it through the church. I said, wow, I need to go to that event. And I went to that event. It was a breakfast. And I went to the breakfast. And I was introduced. At that point, I had said, well, I've always worked in the church with the young people, with the kids, and I wanted to work in the community. That had been my prayer. I want to work in the community. And I met this gentleman called Timmy, and he said, oh, there's a friend of mine that you need to meet. And I was like, all right. And I was introduced to this man who might not like what I'm going to say. I can be very, very excitable about stuff. And I started chatting about the young people, and I used to have like a Sunday school of 500 kids, I mean, talking, right? I can talk for Africa, for England, and anybody else that hasn't got a representative, right? And he was just standing there like, yes. Like cold, like not interested, right? And the funny thing was this. So I said, so how do I get in touch with you? And he said, my email is at the back of the card. And I was like, really? And I walked out like thinking, sorry, can I just be honest? I'm a girl, right? I'm like, who does he really think he is, right? Back of the card, go back of the card. You really think I want to talk to you that much? But there was something more. And this is why it's very important for us to be in the spirit, and the flesh gets in the way so much. Because the most unusual thing happened. The following day, his phone rang me. And I didn't know the number was not on my phone. Remember I asked for the number and I didn't get? But I'd given him my card. His phone rang me. And I was like, who's this number? And I called. And it was him. I was like, you called me. It's like, I didn't call you. I said, you called me? I didn't call you. Fast forward. A few months later, events, there's a reason why you're here, are very, very powerful. The person you're sitting next to, the person you will talk to during the break, the person you will talk to during the networking could be the key to where you're going next. Never underestimate that conversation. The person you meet, they just look like an ordinary person. But I have learned that people you meet at events are very, very powerful. You could just meet the person that you need. And we went to this event. It was a massive event. I was like, hey, there's this event going. I've got some tickets. Do you want to go? This time we started having conversations. Yes. And while we were there was a book deal going. And I was like, sitting there, I'm thinking, how do I have this conversation? I said, well, you know what? You know all that work you've been doing for all those years? I believe you have a book. And if you write a book, it would benefit more people. Oh, well, I'm not sure. I said, really? I'm a negotiator by profession. So I'm quite skilled at negotiating with people and making them part with money. So hold your money tight. Because when I have a conversation with you, I might just get your money. And basically, I managed to persuade him to sign up to this contract to write a book. We did it together. And that's how GPS was born. Because I believed that if you have a good message, if you have changed so many people's lives, if you put it in a book, guess what? You've just widened your reach and you can reach more people. Just in case you haven't worked out who this person who was like trying to give me cold shoulder is Tony. And it's one of those divine meetings that the day that he kind of just gave me a cold shoulder, we did not realize the purpose of our meeting. We did not realize how many people will be impacted by that one meeting. But that one breakfast meeting And that's why I'm saying events are always so powerful. And maybe you're here and you're thinking, well, I haven't met anybody important. I haven't met the kind of person. Be open. Tonight, this evening, could be your night. And I don't see why not. I believe because the more I've been open, the more things have come to me. I say I'm a simple girl, but there's one thing I have and I can share with you. And it's a choice for all of us. Believe. Believe it's possible. Whatever it is that you want, that you need in your life, you just have to believe. It's actually that simple. And that conversation you have with yourself, it has to be a conversation that tells you it's possible. And at the moment, if it doesn't tell you it's possible, it needs to change. I've been a beneficiary of GPS. I have met so many GPS students before they were students. I have seen the transformation. And I've been transformed. And I'm sure Tony can say the same. Come and tell us. It seems there's so many people here who want to start a business. And I believe that you can tell us what to do next.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for the lovely Sarah. Sorry, I hope you don't mind me being a little bit cheeky, but you know, it's I want us to have a good time. So, Sarah, the reason why I wanted Sarah to introduce the evening to us is she said something, and I don't know if you caught it, but I wasn't that bad, was I?
You were.
Really, it wasn't intentional, but you know, I've been in this space for such a long time. So I just want to take a few minutes to just give you some background as to why it is that I'm up here in the first place. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that's taken time out this evening, this afternoon, to come and spend some time with us. I'm really, really honored. We've been doing this for a little while now, and I was talking to my young adopted here, Nathaniel, and when we started, we had about 8 people. Is that right? You said 8 people. Look at you now. This morning, as of this morning, we had 100 people that are due to come in today. So we had a problem. We had to come in and change the seating arrangements and hiring some PA last minute just so that everyone could hear what we share today. Because for me, today is a very important day, and I'm going to just take a little time to just give you some backstory, or so you won't understand where we're coming from. But today, I want to showcase, and Sarah, please, I'll give you permission. Can you just keep me on time, because I have a tendency, I have so much that I want to share. I just keep going, and then we get into problems and stuff like that. So the reason why we are here today is not actually about GPS, but about the people. It's about people. It's about people who have made a decision and made a commitment to themselves to make a difference. Have you ever got to a stage in life where you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired? Hands up, who's ever? Oh, only some of us. So some of us got it going on like that. Okay, well, I've been there. Yeah. And this is what we're here today to honor those people who have got to that point where they've decided that they're going to make a difference. But before I do that, let me just introduce myself. So my name is Tony Dalla, Anthony Dalla, and I am a creative social entrepreneur. Does anyone know what that is? No? Yeah, of course you won't, because I just made it up. I just one day decided. Because we can do that. But I'll show you what I mean when I say that. And so I'd like you to help me, because I want to change the energy in the space. So, wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. Join me, please. No more backward thinking. Time for looking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There is so much hatred, war, and poverty. Hey, wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. And maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. Cause they're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. So when you teach the children, teach them the very best you can. Cause the world won't get no better if we just let it be. No, 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 no. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it, yeah. You and me. I'll stop right there. So that's what a creative social entrepreneur is. Simply put, I use my God-given gift of creativity to do business. I.e., but I'm only interested in business that has a social impact. Creative social entrepreneur. So I have been blessed over the last 25 years to be designing programs, so using my creativity to design programs and platforms that will empower people. I'm passionate. My number one passion is music, and closely followed by young people. And as I say, I'm going to show you how following your passion could be the best thing that you could do. But how many of us do that? See, I was very fortunate, and it's the reason why I have committed my whole adult life to doing what I'm doing. It took me a while to realize that I have really was blessed. See, what happened to me more than 20 years ago, in fact, it was about 30 years ago, and you probably noticed there's no script today, because I deliberately didn't want to put together something for you, because I can talk for days. And so this way, when she tells me I'm done, I've got to get off stage. But I just want to give you the background story. So not very far from here, about 30 years ago, I made a conscious decision. I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I got to a point where I just needed to work out what my life was for. Anyone felt like that before? And so I did a dumb thing, but it was one of the best things I could ever have done. So I left home when I was 17. See, because my parents are from Africa, Nigeria in particular. And back then, it was not a pretty sight. I'm talking about, well, I ain't gonna give you my age. You can work it out. But back in those days, not only was there prejudice between white and blacks, but we had problems between black and black, Jamaicans and Africans. So I was having war at school, I was having war on the estate, and then I was having war at home. And I was like, I'm just trying to live my life. But I knew that there was more to my life than just going into war. And so I left home. I was about 17. I had no money. I had no job. I had nowhere to go. I had no friends. In fact, I had one friend, literally, because those days my parents didn't let me out, so I had one friend. But, and this is why, notice Sarah talked about faith. Now, we're not doing church here, but if we want to do church, the word that she used was faith. Even though I had no resources, I had faith that I knew my life was more than what it was at the time. And so I left home. Within 6 months, I met my mentor, who has been my spiritual mentor for 30 years now. And he showed me some stuff. He showed me a way of looking at life that I was like, well, at first, to be honest, it sounded so simple that I refused to believe it. I was like, this don't make sense. But then, you know when you're young and you're feisty, you just want to prove everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to roll with you, because I knew that I needed some adult advice or guidance in my life. And I wanted to prove this guy wrong. So I'm like, let's go. And he showed me some stuff. 30 years later, I'm still trying to prove him wrong. So much so that it just made me just reevaluate my whole life. Okay, can I make a request? The people that are sitting at the back, like there's some spare seats. we'd like to move forward because now that we've got to know each other a little bit, we can do family, right? And move up. Is that alright? Yeah? The people sitting there. Alright, the people that. Wow. This is one of the first time I've seen people so keen to spend money, or something's going on over there. Oh, it's the cake. We know, right? Remember, you're on the program next week. Make sure that you leave mine hidden there, because I don't want no one teething my piece of cake. Wow. Okay, so we've had a little bit of food, we've had some interaction. How do we feel? Do we feel good? Yes. Let's try again, because we like to be interactive. Do we feel good? Yes. Okay. So, this is the part of the evening that I've been waiting for. And before we begin the graduation, I'd just like to spend and take 5 minutes to give you the backstory. Well, I always like to give you the backstory, because when I give you the backstory, then you can have a fuller appreciation of what's going on. Does that make sense? Hello, interactive? Yes. Thank you. Yes. All right, you guys over this side, you're not doing too well. They know what's going on. So, yeah, we need interaction. Yes, interactive. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, now we're doing it. So you know how GPS started. And so after a few sessions, after a few groups, I was like, wow. And so I was saying wow, because I was amazed at what transformations I was witnessing. Because remember, I was just doing this to give a little bit of clarity and understanding to people. But when I was actually seeing the transformation in their lives, you see, the thing about GPS is I've used 20 years of, in fact, 30 years of research, trial, error, making mistakes and all sorts, to bring together a program that in 90 days will impact you in what I call the 5 pillars. That is mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, socially, in terms of your relationship with yourself and your relationship with others, and then physically. And in 90 days, well, I mean, I was just blown away. Remember, I only wrote the book and I only did the program just to impact people, but I'm always looking at how I can create platforms. That's my creative thing, right? And so when I started to see the response and how it was impacting people's lives, I was like, wow, I can't keep this to myself. So as you speak with some of the other students, they'll tell you one of my principles is to practice the secret law of giving. That's what I call it. Remember I said to you, this evening, if you're open, then you may hear some stuff that you might not have heard before, and you'll have an opportunity to test it out for yourself. My mentor taught me about this, and I've coined the phrase, the secret law of giving, and it's based on simply this, that when you find opportunities to give as opposed to get, see, I'm going to show you that most of us have been living our lives backwards. And this is one of them, where we're raised and taught it's all about getting. That's what we focus on. But when you practice the secret law of giving and you make that your focus, then things just happen. And so I was so appreciative for the privilege of the students giving me the opportunity to mentor them, that I wanted to give them something. It wasn't part of the deal. And I was like, you know what, I'd like you to come out and I'd like you to use this as an opportunity to bring your friends out and we just have a good time, just to celebrate and to acknowledge what you've done. Because in almost every case, what people were doing was expressing faith in this guy. Many of them don't know me from Adam, and they pay me a lot of money because I'm worth it, as L'Oreal says. I know that. But then, you know, so what? But it's a journey of transformation. And so it was my way of saying, listen, I really appreciate you. And talk is cheap, right? We can all talk. But it's about demonstration. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to hire out a venue, and it has to be a decent venue. It's not a bad venue, is it? Because I believe that if you're going to give of your best. And these people that you're going to hear from, I wanted to demonstrate to them that this is how I value you. I'm not doing this to make money on this particular evening. It's just about want to try and cover our costs. That would be nice. But even yesterday, because we realized that, wow, in a week so many people decided they were turning up. It was like, well, I want to make sure everyone can hear what's being said. So we went and just and acquired this PA, because it's about the secret law of giving. So that's just one nugget. If you care, make a note and employ it and see what happens. It's the principle that has governed pretty much my entire adult life. But anyway, tonight, therefore, is about celebrating the people who have been on the GPS program and have had some experiences. And as I said, we just want to acknowledge them, celebrate them, and some of them have been so moved that they want to share testimonies. But some, they're going to receive their award, and we're still on a journey.